Hi, everyone. We're now looking at a little more comprehensive question, something which is closer to the examination style questions, where we talk about, for example, a partial acquisition, but also has adjustments for intra-group balances and also the fair value differences, right? This is something that we talked in, when we talked about the business combinations accounting standard, right? So how does the accounting get impacted? Okay, under the consolidated financial statements for those fair value differences is something that we want to discuss in this particular question. Okay, it says that company X acquired 75% shares, or 70% shares, my apologies, 70% shares in company Y on 31st of December 2020. The balance sheets of these companies as on 31st of March 2021 are provided. So that would be the reporting date. Okay, we're also provided that retained earnings on the date of acquisition are given at 25,000. NCI is measured at fair value, which is 50,000. Importantly, this is the new adjustment, which says 31st of December 2020, an item of property had a carrying value of 1,30,000 rupees, but the fair value of the same is 2 lakh rupees. Okay, and the expected remaining life of the item is 3 years. Y has not made any adjustments of those differences in its books. Assume that these differences result in deferred tax consequences and the tax rate is 20%. Also, it is provided the parent, for example, sold the goods to subsidiary at a cost without any profit margin worth 20,000 rupees. The amount is not yet settled. So both parties are showing receivables and payables. The question is, prepare the group balance sheet as on 31st of March 2021. Okay, how do we deal with this question? Again, follow the same steps as we were doing. There's nothing complicated about that to start with. First part is relationship between entities. Okay, we are given that the date of acquisition is 31st of December 20. The reporting date is 31st of March 21. Okay, percentage holding, that is given as 70%, and we can refer this to as a subsidiary. Okay, that brings us the second working, which is, of course, the goodwill. Okay, so when I look at goodwill, I would say what is the purchase consideration, right? Clearly, this amount is available, 2,40,000 rupees. Okay, then we say less net assets. I need to be careful the moment I heard the fair value adjustments there, right? We have provided the share capital, which is 1,50,000 rupees. Retained earnings, that is also provided to us, which is 25,000 rupees. Right? We can say the total assets are 1,75,000 rupees. But then importantly, you want to also take into consideration that there is a property which is given at a value of 1,30,000 rupees in the books of company Y, right? On the date of acquisition, Y is showing that asset at 130, but the fair value of that asset is 2 lakhs, which means the 70,000 rupees is the extra value, which is nowhere in the books of company Y. Okay. However, when X is acquiring that company or acquiring a controlling stake in that company, 1,30,000 would not matter. Okay. It's a 2 lakh value which matters, right? And of course, this amount of the net assets, 1,50,000 and 25, already takes care of 130, right? That 1,30,000 rupees is already a part of the net assets as per the books of company Y. Okay. So if I say my total assets minus liabilities or my equity, right? So there's 1,30,000, which is a part of my property, which is the part of my assets, subject to reduction of liabilities is the equity. So this 175 has that 130 within itself. It is this extra 70,000 rupees, which is 2 lakh minus 1,30,000, right? That is nowhere in the books, and that's what we need to bring when we calculate the net assets of that company, which is add fair value difference, and we would want to explain that as 2 lakh minus 1,30,000, and that brings us 70,000 as the value of the business there. But now, importantly, at a group level, you want to say that this property is worth 2 lakh. But in the standalone books of the subsidiary, right, this property is only worth 1,30,000. So even for taxation purposes, this 70,000 rupees is a difference. You're showing the value of the asset by 70,000 extra at a group level, but for tax purposes, that is not there, which means that this 70,000 results into a deferred tax liability. So we need to obviously adjust that part of this deferred tax liability at 20%, which gives us 14,000 as a deferred tax liability there. Okay, it's a very important adjustment you need to be very, very comfortable with, right? Bring those fair value differences and take the deferred tax consequences of that as well at the same time. That gives us, by the way, at this point in time, the total assets is 175 plus 70 minus 14. That gives us 2,31,000 here. Okay, and now we would also reduce the impact of the non-controlling interest, which is 50,000. That brings us the notion that you're paying 2,40,000 for something which is worth 181, right? And that brings us the calculation of goodwill at 59,000, right? A typical adjustment, a standard adjustment in the examination. Be absolutely sure and comfortable about it, right? You take the total assets as per the books, add fair value differences. Of course, in this case, the fair value difference is on the higher side. So you need to obviously add that, and the corresponding deferred tax consequences need to be eliminated on that, right? That gives us, of course, the total assets, right? And then you reduce the NCI portion, the 30%, which is a value of 50,000, and you are able to arrive at the goodwill, which is 59,000 rupees there. Okay, right? That takes care of the second working. Now the third working is also important, which is retained earnings. Okay, now what does it say? We bring both the companies, company X and company Y, and we say what are the profits as per the question or as per the books, which are given at 1,20,000 and 50,000 respectively. Okay. Now we are saying that less pre-acquisition, which is 25,000, that gives us the post acquisition profits or earnings at 25,000 again, right? Now, ideally, I should be dividing that between the parent and the NCI into 70-30 proportion. But before I do that, I need to also remember, okay, that there were fair value differences of 70,000. We just calculated that some time back. Okay. So how do we read or how do we interpret that as a movement? Okay. We are provided that we acquired this company. If I really go back there, we acquired this company 3 months ago. Okay. We acquired this company 3 months ago. Now, what is the implication of that? If I look at this property, right? This property, which is in the books of company Y at 1,30,000 and in the books of the group at 2 lakh rupees, right? That simply suggests that for company Y, you are looking at a carrying value of 1,30,000, but for the group, you are looking at 2 lakh rupees, for example. Okay. So importantly, when you look at the accounting afterwards, accounting henceforth, right? We are simply saying the depreciation that will be charged in the books of company Y will be based on 1,30,000. But for the group, it has to be done, let's say, for 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So something that you want to carry, you will remember over the remaining life, which is 3 years there, right? So on this 70,000, you need to provide additional or extra depreciation over the period of time. Okay. And as and when you start providing depreciation, the difference starts to get reduced. Okay. And as the difference is reducing, the deferred tax consequences also start to get reduced to that extent. Okay, something that you want to remember in this conversation around, right? So something that you want to keep here as a context when you deal with this part. Okay, so when we look at this adjustment, what are we trying to bring? The retained earnings again, right? Let's do one thing. Let's use the space and do this retained earnings calculation once again. Let's quickly do that. As per the question, which is 1,20,000 and 50,000 less the pre-acquisition, which is 25,000, that gives us post-acquisition earnings, which is again 25,000. Now, what we're saying is that in the books of company Y, there is an asset on which extra depreciation has to be charged. So we have to bring that extra depreciation or the additional depreciation for the period from the date of acquisition up to the reporting date. Okay. Now, what is that period? 3 months. How do we charge depreciation? Well, the life is 3 years. So effectively, we are saying on that 70,000, we need to charge a depreciation of 3 months considering the life of 3 years, right? And that amounts to, for example, 5,833. Now that's the amount of depreciation we need to charge from the profits of company Y, from the post-acquisition profits of company Y. Okay. But then due to this extra depreciation charged, the difference between the carrying value as per the company Y's books and the books of the group, even that is reducing, which means also there's a reversal of deferred tax liability, right, at the rate of 20%. So we are simply taking the value of that 5,833 into 0.2. That gives us 1167, right? So effectively, we are saying that the net profit, taking into consideration these consolidation adjustments, is basically 25,000 minus 5833 plus 1167. That gives us 20334. Now, this is the profit that would be, divided between the parent, the company X, and of course the non-controlling interest. So we are saying company X share, right, which is 70%, and NCI's share, which is 30%. So we need to calculate these specifically. This becomes 14234, and the balance 20334 minus 14234. So this becomes 6100, and now we can say the group retained earnings are 14234 plus, of course, the parent's share. So 134234 becomes my group earnings there, right? A typical adjustment. Be very, very comfortable about it. Okay. Now, with this information that we have captured, we're looking at the next working, which is working 4. That's about non-controlling interest. That would be a straightforward one. We simply say opening balance that was given to us at 50,000 plus share of profits in company Y, which is 6,100. That gives us 56,100 there. Okay. Finally, we look at intra-group adjustments or the balances, right? We have provided that there are, so there's nothing on the receivables, so we can safely assume the other current assets take care of it. Okay. So we have provided that the other current assets of the group would ideally be 20,000 plus 25,000, but then there's also a payable in the books of company X, there's a receivable in the books of company X from company Y, which is the intra-group adjustment. So effectively, my other current assets would only amount to 25,000. So there's a cancellation of the balances, right? Similarly, my payables, right, are given at 15,000 plus 10,000 minus 20,000. Of course, technically, this is not the right answer because you can't have from this 10,000, 20,000 also rising from the group. So let's still assume that if this number were correct, or let's do one thing, we can change this 20 to something else, or let's keep it 20 only. So only for the sake of understanding, we are talking about it. So this is 25 minus 20, that gives us 5,000 there. Okay. Now, with all these numbers, with all these, workings that we have done, we are in a good shape to prepare consolidated balance sheet of company X as at 31st of March 21. Okay. Now be careful about it in terms of what all adjustments that we are going to do. Okay. It's very straightforward, on nothing typical, but we need to be careful when we bring those along, right? We are saying that we start with the assets, and then we have non-current assets, and then we have, of course, property, plant and equipment. Now this is something which is typical. The assets of X and the assets of Y, right? Plus that fair value difference, 70,000. Okay. That was there in working number 2 when we calculated goodwill, and minus the extra depreciation, right, which is 5833. That is in working number 3 that we calculated, right, in the retained earnings. Okay, so you need to be very, very carefully bringing this all. That makes 350 plus 70 minus 5833. That gives us a value of 4,14,167. That's an adjustment that we want to remember. Okay, license is straightforward. We can use it as it is. Goodwill, we calculated, right? Working number 2. Let's pick that value. This is 59,000. Okay, so take that 59,000 here. Okay, and then we have, of course, current assets. No adjustments on inventories, so wouldn't bother. That is 40 plus 30 makes it 70,000. Other current, so cash and cash equivalents again is the same thing, so nothing much changes. Let's do one thing. Let's create a column here. Okay. Cash and cash equivalents we have provided as 50 plus 20. That's again 70,000. Other current assets we had calculated those, so we'll use that reference. I think it was working 5. Yep, here we go. That is 25,000. So let's use that 25,000 here. We don't have to do it again here. So that gives us, of course, the total assets. Okay. This amounts to 414167 plus 30,000 plus 59,000 plus 70 plus 70 plus 25,000. That gives us 6,68,167. Okay. Now we look at, of course, equity and liabilities. Within that equity, we have the share capital only of the parent. Always, again, we want to remember that 2,40,000. We did the calculation of retained earnings, so we don't have to worry about it. Working number 3, and that amounted to 134,234. So let's pick that straight away. 134,234, and then we had, of course, working number 4 for non-controlling interest. That is 56,100. Okay. Now what do we have? We have, of course, non-current liabilities, right? A bank loan, which is 50 plus 100. That's 1,50,000, and deferred taxes. Now remember that the way we had the discussions done on the property, plant, and equipment, we did the adjustments. We're going to do the same adjustment for deferred taxes also. You know, the way we had those calculations available. So this is 30 plus 5 plus 14,000. You would recollect, right? This is something that we had created. This 14,000. Okay, so we add 14,000 here. This is a new amount of deferred taxes, but then there is also a reversal of that, which we had done to the extent of 1167. Okay, that is coming from working number 3. So we are saying that this is 35 plus 14, but minus 1167. That gives us 47,833. Okay, So that's what it is. Let's still calculate that. 49,000 minus 1167. Yeah, that's what we got. 47833. Okay. What else we got? We got current liabilities, payables. We had done that adjustment. So working number 5, we had this amounting to 5,000. So we'll use that as it is. And other current liabilities, okay, which is 25,000 plus 10,000, that gives us 35,000. Let's see if we are able to find these balances tallied, right? The total equity and liabilities. 2,40,000 plus 134,234 plus 56100 plus 1,50,000 plus 47833 plus 5,000, and then of course we have 35,000. This gives me a total of 668,167, right? That tallies with our total assets figure again. All right. So that's something that you need to be very, very comfortable with, this kind of questions. And it doesn't take long to solve these questions. What is important is to be very comfortable with the approach. That's what I wanted to highlight in this conversation there. All right. Thank you very much.